We have with us today Holly Schneidewind, good friend of the show, one of our sponsors, and the owner of Eagle Mortgage. Good morning, Holly. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's good to have you back on the show, and I'm just going to start big and broad right now, and you know we still hear about higher interest rates, and we know inflation has been an issue, but yet I'm also hearing things like houses are moving fast, and a lot of people are still moving. Give us the 30,000-foot view of the market right now.
So I think that we're a little insulated in Omaha. Of course, everybody, I think, kind of hears that here in the Midwest. Yes, the market has been a little strange over the last year or two. They are still moving fast. If you ask somebody out there who's trying to find a home, you know, first-time home buyer, what was it when you bought your first home? You know, maybe it was 130,000, 50,000.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, even sometimes,
I think it was
depending
like
on who we're talking to.
I think it was like 127 back in the 90s.
Isn't that crazy? Actually, my first one was probably 75,000, which is crazy. So now you're talking about these first-time home buyers and people out there. You know, they're spending 200 to 250 on their first home. It is a little crazy. So, market, I think, is softening up a little bit. Although, like I said, we're in the Midwest, so I have a group that I belong to, and they take a survey, and this is from the mortgage point of view, the lender point of view, not the real estate agent point of view. But anyways, they seem to think that it's maybe softening up a little bit around the country. I just don't think we're seeing a ton of that here. I still think we're low inventory. Houses are still going at or above price, depending upon that price range. So,
well, and sometimes I hear from some of the residential real estate agents that I know that they basically said the exact same thing that you did. And one of the questions I asked them, are you still seeing competitive situations? And they say sometimes
definitely
quite competitive.
Oh gosh, I have a couple right now. Let's see here. One of them offered an appraisal gap, which means we will pay top dollar, and then we will actually pay $10,000. I think this one was $10,000 over the appraised value between what we call the gap. So if it appraised low. Mm-hmm. So they're willing to pay above the appraised value just to get that house.
Just to get the house.
Another one paid, they called an escalation clause. So they agreed to pay $10,000 above any at the highest offer that would come in. Now, of course, if it didn't appraise on that one, and it did, it's crazy because we closed that one already. So yes, it is still happening out there. And that's why, whether it's Eagle Mortgage or somebody else, work with a good mortgage person and get prepared. And I think maybe that's, get your pre-approval, know what you're getting into. I get people that are like, well, I found a house, but now I need the letter. Sometimes it's like, okay, little opposite of what we normally like to have you work, but okay. So we can work pretty fast. People, how long does that take? I mean, we can get a pre-approval done in minutes, depending upon the situation, completing an application, but yeah.
Well, and we must be seeing some really nice population growth in the metro area right now, because for the last few years, it seems like, at least through my eyes, that we are building new houses like crazy. And you also have seen apartments being built like crazy. And it's my understanding that apartment occupancy in the metro area is still well up into the mid to high 90s. So there must be a lot of people coming in. And I can't imagine that tornado, which destroyed about 100 houses, helped either, because that sets us back a little bit.
Right. Yeah. They've got to find housing, right? Some temporary, and the process to rebuild is probably going to take a bit to get there. I just got done having coffee with somebody. Anyways, they were talking about his insurance agent. His clients are having problems. Well, they have 2 dogs, house destroyed in the tornado. Now they're having a problem trying to find suitable housing for them. So that's a little different, I guess, but still, yeah. And then to go to rent and the prices of what somebody's going to pay right now, yeah, I feel for them. Glad I am not in that situation.
Yeah, you and me
have
both.
To do that. I've got a daughter now just graduated. She's at home now. Well, we're like, save some money, but we prefer not to rent. So that's our take on it, and that's what I do. We help build wealth through real estate. And I'm not on the sales side of it, but I'm on the loan side. So one loan at a time, we help with that process.
Well, I'm going to ask you in the next segment some questions about renting versus buying. But for now, let's say that some of our listeners are thinking about entering the house hunting adventure. How's the process work once they contact you? getting the pre-approval and all that sort of thing?
You know what? We'll answer any question we can. The easiest way to get started would be to do that online application. If people don't want to do it online, it's, a phone call and I can take it. My staff can take that application. The other place then would be a phone call after the application. That's the big part where we can go over numbers, ask questions. What do you want to be? Where do you want your budget to be? What are you looking for in a payment? Okay, well, fine. Maybe you've told me you want that payment, but have you been out looking at houses and what price range? So we're trying to marry those two things together. Is it realistically what you want to buy going to get you to your budget? Some people have no idea.
So as a mortgage broker, you work with more than just one bank. How many are we talking about? Is it like a handful? Is it like 10,000?
No. Good Lord, I could not keep track of that. So we work with, I probably have 10 lenders. For the most part, I will tell you of that, it's probably half of them is we prefer to work with. Each do similar things. Some of them do things a little differently than others. So we kind of know based upon somebody's situation, where do we take them? What do we need to get? Can I get some extra grant money for somebody that somebody else and lender doesn't have? We can structure a husband and wife. Maybe we only use one income so that I can get a better rate, so there's all kinds of different. You just work with the loan company who is out there. I don't know everything. In the 31 years that I've been doing this, I don't know everything, but I know a lot. And I know maybe what questions to ask and where to go find the answers.
Well, I imagine it's kind of interesting or challenging when, maybe one spouse has a traditional job and the other one is self-employed, or maybe one has a good traditional job and the other one recently is unemployed. Yeah. There's got to be a lot of complicated things.
It is definitely. And I'm now, right now, like I said, my daughter, she's graduated and now I think going to work herself into my business or mortgage loan originator. Oh my gosh, try to explain to a 21-year-old. It's just so I say that. But yes, I think we need more new people in our industry, in the mortgage world and lending. And I would love to see her figure it out. But I just have to remember where I came from 31 years ago too. What's a mortgage? Okay.
And personally, I know your daughter and she's a smart kid, but I imagine with some of the stuff, it's hard for her eyes not to glaze over as you're telling her this.
Yeah, she's in the thick of it right now, trying to take her test. She'll bring me those questions. What's this? And I'm going to try to explain it to her. Yeah.
We're talking with Holly Schneidewind, owner of Eagle Mortgage Company here in Omaha. Holly, give us an idea how mortgage brokers and realtors cooperate and work together to make these deals close.
So it's all a big process. Obviously, if you want to you need the pre-approval. So first of all, it's the pre-approval, and any realtor that you're going to work with is basically going to ask, have you been pre-approved? They're not going to go show you houses if you don't have that piece of paper or that knowledge that you can buy a house and in what price range. Then working with a good realtor to get your offer accepted, that's the next piece, because they have to be able to listen. What does the borrower want? Where do we need to be? What price range? So we work as a team to get you through the process. Free pre-approval. Then you get out looking with the real estate agent. At that point, then we're making sure the offer's written up the right way. What did I tell you? Making sure the realtor knows. Do you need seller credits? What kind of stuff are you looking for? What kind of financing? Does that house take that financing? Will that house pass through the loan process? So there's more moving pieces than I think people think. We're there to work as a team to put it together for our customers, for the buyers, so that they're not so stressed during this process. It's not a stress-free process for most people, but we try to make it. I get it. It's paperwork, and people do look at me like, oh my gosh, how much more stuff do you need? Well, I need your pay stub. I need to prove you still work there. Don't quit your job. Don't take out new debt. We tell them all kinds of stuff. They don't always listen, but we try.
Yeah, and listen to that last piece of advice, folks. Don't take out new debt after you've started the lending process.
No, especially if they'll do rechecks sort of in the background. And if we find all of a sudden we get a credit inquiry, and then we have to go back and it's the day before closing and you're like, are you kidding me? So yeah, we have dealt with that, do it, have had to ask, figure out what'd you do, what'd you buy, what'd you inquire, and then we have to verify it. So
we have Holly Schneidewind with us today. She is the head of Eagle Mortgage and one of our sponsors here on Grow Omaha. And Holly, I want to talk to you today in this next segment a little bit about renting versus buying. And, we're hearing that some people are looking at renting now because of the economy or whatever. And I mentioned in the last segment that we have a very high occupancy rate in apartment properties here in Omaha. But you're in the mortgage business. You help people buy houses. What do you think?
So I'm not sure. Okay, my opinion, and obviously, you know what, everybody can probably already guess, it's buy versus rent. And now I think that depends upon, obviously, there's factors, but we have tools and we can help people to show them why it would be better to buy versus rent. I did an analysis, and actually, I don't think I sent that to you ahead of time, Jeff, but when we go through and do a buy versus rent scenario, then over a 9-year period, and honestly, the scenario that was run was out of a system I used, but it was probably a $500,000 house, okay? So not everybody's going to have the same results. It's not going to end up the same every time we run those numbers, but over a 9-year period, as long as somebody was staying in that house longer than 2 years, the outcome was going to be better to buy in the long haul. So on the scenario that I did and have in front of me, actually showed that the net result, meaning the net equity somebody's going to build over that 9-year period, and that's probably, how long were you in your first house?
I think it was 5. Yeah.
5 years. Mm-hmm. So I think that average maybe is 7. I was going to say 7 to 9 or 5 to 9. So we'll just say the average is 7. But even on a 9-year period, the net result in this example was over $195,000 somebody would walk away with versus renting. And that takes into account investing the money you would have used to buy the house, rent increases, tax increases. So it takes account increases in both areas. So it's not just a straight shot comparison. But yes, I think it's better to buy than rent. I mean, what's the American dream?
Owning a house.
Owning a house. Maybe being a business owner. I don't know. I don't know how many entrepreneurs there are, but yeah, having your own house and having that equity.
So I would guess there are a lot of people living in rental units right now that love the idea, or at least like the idea of owning a house. And there are a couple things holding them back. One could be fear of the unknown. It's an intimidating process if you've never purchased a house before. Another thing that could make them hesitate is they might think they need to build up more money than perhaps they do.
True.
And then perhaps another thing, Holly, could be all they hear about are these high interest rates and how the price of houses are going up. Given all that, what's the counter argument for those folks? What's the reality if I'm in a rental unit? I don't want to be anymore, but I'm afraid or feel like I'm not ready.
Okay, well, number one, we're going to dispel the myth that you need to have a 20% down payment. That has been a thing of the past a long time ago. So FHA loans were created for a lower down payment option so that people could get into houses. Because obviously conventional was 50% down, maybe a long time ago, 20% down. And then the FHA, then the creation of the PMI, which is that private mortgage insurance that lenders would be insured with homeowners, home buyers that were putting less than 20% down. It's not a bad thing. I mean, you got to start somewhere, get into that property. And I did read something here. Should I buy instead of rent? Or somebody, if they give me the answer. So here's what it was. In 1971, the interest rate for a mortgage was 7.33. Okay, let's say it's similar to these times right now. If you waited for interest rates to go down, you wouldn't have purchased a home until 1993. You would have rented for 22 years waiting for those rates to go down. Meanwhile, the value of real estate quadrupled. I'm not sure we have gone through 7 years, I can't remember exact numbers, but 7 years of down market in housing of the past 50 years. So imagine that. That's why we say, build your equity. Don't pay somebody else's mortgage. I mean, I guess if I own real estate and have rental properties, I would love you as a renter, right? But we always say you can date your rate, marry your house. And even then you can move around. But, the chances are you're going to buy a house, hold it for a while. We've had our starter homes, and now we've been in our last home since we figured the kids were in school. And I don't know, maybe eventually we'll downsize, but...
And we're in the exact same spot. Had the starter house and then the long-term family house, and then who knows what comes next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we need those houses that are, like you said, they're in the apartment. They don't want to deal with the management, the stuff happening in the house. There's always going to be a repair. I mean, that's just reality in a house. So, maybe we're going to see more condos around here or townhomes, and maybe we're seeing some of that already, so that people don't feel like that. I think we need some more of those in affordable housing.
That's something that could be a topic for another interview, affordable housing and the move to condos and townhomes, because I agree with you. That would be a great thing for the future of Omaha. But for today, we're about out of time. But Holly Schneidewind, if someone wants to work with Eagle Mortgage or just kind of talk, what do they do?
They can inquire, send me an email. Call is probably the best thing, but if you don't like to do that, you can always send an email to introduce yourself, and then eventually it's a conversation. Come in the office, stop by. We're there usually 9 to 4. We're a smaller office, so sometimes we're out at a meeting or a closing, but yeah, call us 402-397-7180.
And the office is at 114th in Davenport, and the website is eaglemortgagecompany.com. Yep. Holly Schneidewind, thanks for joining us this morning and the information, and also thanks for being such a long-time loyal sponsor of Grow Omaha.
It has been a pleasure this morning. Thanks, Jeff.
Holly Schneidewind from Eagle Mortgage.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.